again and again. This always happens some way, somehow. Whoo, man, let's get into it, guys. Welcome to Just Invest Today. Today we are talking about Ant Group. We're talking about Alibaba and what just happened. So we know right now the market is closed in the US and Canada and all of these markets because it's a holiday. But on top of that, we have the Hong Kong Stock Exchange still open, and we got bad news for Ant. And this is what's happening. It's down 4% today. 4%. And even Tencent is getting hit. Down 5%, almost 6% today because of this news. China tells banks, state firms to report exposure to Jack Ma's Ant Group. Remember when one of the state-backed investors for Ant Group was actually going to come in and help kind of reinvest money into Ant Group, kind of settle it down, get more backing, because honestly, I was maybe expecting an Ant IPO for this year to make the stock go crazy. And you have to take it in. This is right before the earnings coming out on Thursday. This could be the worst time, but this was always worrying me because remember, the state-backed government issued a statement basically saying they are withdrawing from the investment in Ant Group. So this would had a lot of people worried. They're like, whoa, what happened? This actually sent the market down a little bit, but not too much. Can you please like this video, subscribe to my channel? I'm always providing you guys with so much new content, man. So subscribe. Jack Ma's Ant Group has suffered a setback to its government-led restructuring efforts after a state-owned asset manager unexpectedly pulled out of a deal to invest in the fintech's lending arm. So you know he was getting news, he was getting warnings of what was going to happen, and this hit the market. This just hit the market saying, look, we are looking into China's Jack Ma's fintech business to see if there was any kind of bad dealings, any kind of corruption. Because you have to remember, all of this is stemming from the whole Jack Ma incident of basically him going against the government, and now that made them look more into it. But on top of that, they already had this whole thing in place of basically stopping corruption. That's your new goals. They kind of settled it down for 2022, but 2021 was all about getting the market ready, getting the market settled, no corruption, anti-corruption, but still this is going on with Ant Group. But I honestly think I know the reason why this happened now. People didn't really realize what kind of inspired this to take action. They don't realize, but let's read some of the first things that came out before I get into why they did this. China authorities told the nation's biggest state-owned firms and banks to start a fresh round of checks on their financial exposure and other links to Ant Group, renewing scrutiny of the billionaire Jack Ma's financial empire. So you know, when this market opens on Tuesday, it's going to get crashed, man. Alibaba, I told you, and remember I was saying Alibaba can go down to 80, 90? What if this news on top of the whole the worries of Russia, Ukraine, on top of the bad earnings? People thought I was crazy saying it could go to 80. You don't know that. Multiple regulators, including banking watchdog, recently told institutions under their oversight to closely examine all exposure they had to Ant, its subsidiaries, and even its shareholders up to January, said the people asking not to be identified as the matter is private. Those people described this as by far the most thorough and wide-ranging look into deals with Ant, said institutions were told they must report findings back as soon as possible. So guys, if there's any corruption happening with Ant, it's going to get killed off. But the good news is that even when you think about this, remember, people are not even valuing Ant in the Baba evaluation, saying this stock is super cheap. So no matter what you think about what's happening right now, Alibaba is still super cheap business, still doing what it's going to do and still going to produce results. I don't think this is going to have a big effect on the global aspect of what I'm seeing from Alibaba and the whole company. This is just going to help bleed any kind of bad things in Ant Group and kind of get away with it if this is the case, if they actually find something. And people all of a sudden are going to get rid of the shares, but what if they don't even find anything? That is a possibility that they don't find anything. And if they do find anything, is that really going to say that, okay, Alibaba is a bad investment now because look what they found? Say they do find some bad news about Ant. What's going to happen with Alibaba? Is Alibaba now going to be the company that gets canceled, that gets taken down? Or do you think they're just going to settle it because they're going to find Ant Group more? They're going to get rid of all the bad agents in Ant Group, right? And maybe get rid of Jack Ma. And Jack Ma doesn't even run the company. Say he gets put in jail for whatever, his corruption. Does this really have an effect on the Alibaba valuation right now? I still think this is news that's just going to kill the stock, but doesn't really have effect on the big picture. If you're valuing the whole Alibaba e-commerce business, the cloud business, and just everything it's producing, you don't really need the fintech at these valuations, in my opinion. They're probably just going to pay a fine. People are just going to go to jail. But Ant Group is still going to be in Alibaba, in my opinion. I don't think they're just going to cancel Ant or it's whatever happened, because that's not what they've been doing so far. They've been just fining people and like putting people in jail. So that's it. That's the worst thing I think that can happen to Alibaba. But people might see different. People might say it's truly uninvestable right now, and this is just the beginning of another hard look into Alibaba, into Ant. What are your thoughts on that? Who knows what's really going to happen? And that's creating more uncertainty. But this is what stimulated this whole thing, in my opinion. This is what really stimulated everything. Jack Ma's Ant Group implicated in corruption scandal by Chinese state media. So this documentary came out, and it didn't actually talk about Ant Group, but it mentioned that there was corruption when Ant Group was actually establishing its business. So let's read this and what happened with this corruption scandal and what this state broadcaster said that was happening with Ant. China's state broadcaster has implicated Jack Ma's Ant Group in a corruption scandal, ratcheting up the pressure on billionaire following a crackdown that has wiped billions of dollars from the internet empire. And this came out and no one really noticed this. No one really I'm not sure how many people really reacted. I think it went down a little bit, but not too much. A documentary on the state-run China Central Television alleged that private companies made unreasonably high payments to the brother of a former Chinese Communist Party head of Hangzhou, an eastern city that has home to Ant Group's headquarters, in return for government policy incentives and support with buying real estate. Televised a documentary saying that Ant Group actually got government policy incentives in that eastern city, and it got the opportunity to buy real estate for Ant. Now let's read the rest to find out why this really happened. According to public records, two sources close to the deals, a unit of Ant Group bought 2 plots of land at a discount in Hangzhou in 2019 after taking stakes in 2 mobile payment businesses owned by the party secretary's younger brother that were named in the documentary. And that brother actually got sentenced for corruption and illegal activities. So this is why they're really going in deep into finding out what's happening with Ant. Here's how I think it's gonna end. So 1, they find something happened with Ant, there was corruption, someone goes to jail, or they get fined, because that's exactly what they have been doing. That's what they've been showing. I don't think they're gonna privatize Ant or take it away from Alibaba because of this. They've been just laying down fines for any anti-monopoly behavior and putting people in jail. So if they really find something out, that's what's gonna happen. I don't think that hurts Alibaba long term. They're just gonna get rid of the bad actors. So that's the worst case scenario, with the share dropping down like crazy if they actually find out corruption or they find out stuff, creating more uncertainty for Alibaba. The second option, this is just all FUD, this is all noise, and Alibaba is cleared, Ant Group is cleared, there is no corruption, there is no proof. That's another scenario that's gonna happen. And both scenarios, I don't think long term this is gonna kill the company, in my opinion. So it's just more FUD, in my opinion. So guys, what do you think about all of this and what is happening in the market, man? Guys, like this video, subscribe to my channel. I'll get back to you in the next video. Peace.